probably already there. Good evening, and welcome to the Power of Now, Inside, Outside on Wellness Wednesday. I'm Coach Mitchell.
And I'm Coach Darren.
And tonight, we just want to thank you for joining us as we're going to be brief, but we want to share just some tips and sort of hacks that we've discovered along the way in doing food preservation.
Yes, food preservation, and we're going to share a couple of challenges with you, to engage you in this journey. And what is this journey? It's a health and wellness journey. And as I, always say, you only become truly health conscious when you become concerned or you engage in your health, health of loved ones, health of nature, and health of the earth. And that's what we're trying to really encourage people to do.
Absolutely. And I think that tonight what we'll show are some really simple tricks that will preserve your fruits and vegetables that you get from, the supermarket or the farmer's market, that will extend their shelf life.
Yes, I'm glad you mentioned that. One of the things that we focus on is we're trying to address food waste. And as we mentioned in the past, food waste is one of the major contributors to, when it comes to, climate change. So being able to reduce food waste, and I won't go into the particulars about it, but the massive amount of food that's wasted creates multiple problems. And one of them, like I said, is it contributes to the climate issue. So if you want to reduce food waste, one of the things you want to do is you want to focus on your shelf life and your food storage. And Coach Mitchell has a really good
I call technique. It a hack.
Yeah, a really good technique that we've tried, and trust me, I'm gonna let her talk about it because it works. So,
yes.
There you go, Coach Mitchell.
Hey, good evening, Auntie. Thanks for joining us. So, what you see in front of me here, I have two huge mason jars with fruit. This one contains blueberries and strawberries, and this one is all strawberries. Now, these are fruits that we got at the farmer's market, believe it or not, 2 weeks ago. And I saw this hack on YouTube where they emphasize extending the life of strawberries. It was basically strawberries initially.
But it works for all
and
berries.
It works for all berries, as we've discovered along, the way. And I wasn't really confident in the technique, but it never hurts to try, right? So the first time I tried it, the strawberries lasted 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
2 weeks. Now, if you eat strawberries, you know that if you buy them from the supermarket or the farmer's market, they have a very short shelf life. And if you don't consume them within that week, even a couple of days, they begin to break down and spoil. So you want to interject, Coach?
Yes. You mentioned that they lasted 2 weeks. It wasn't because they started going spoiled. They lasted 2 weeks because we ate them.
We ate them, yeah, absolutely.
That's a 2 week point.
Absolutely, I'm sorry. So, we were able to eat off of those strawberries for 2 weeks.
Yes.
And they were just as plump and juicy as the day we brought them from the farmer's market. So, Coach, I'm going to open this jar. And these berries have been in the refrigerator for a week and a half. A week and a half. We got these from the farmer's market a week and a half ago. And we bought a lot because they were inexpensive at that time. And we preserved the rest. Now, we've been juicing because if you've been watching, we are into juicing on a regular daily basis. And we still have more left. But a week and a half. Did you hear that?
Yes.
That air release? Now, Coach, these were already wiped. They were pre-wiped. Don't wash your berries. I forgot to mention that. If you wash your berries, they will break down. Don't wash your berries. So just wipe them down with a paper cloth, paper towel. This strawberry is a week and a half old. came from the farmer's market. And if you're a strawberry fan, you know this is the season, May and June, late April, May and June, you get your fresh strawberries. By preserving them, putting them in the mason jar and sitting them in the fridge, go pick as many strawberries as you like and as much room as you have in your refrigerator so that you can have fresh strawberries. And this prevents you from having to put it in the freezer. And once you thaw out a strawberry, you know it's just really soft and, you know, it's mushy. And it's basically only good, you know, if you're going to put it in recipes or in your juice or your smoothies. But anyway, I'm going to bite into this berry. How would you like?
Nope, you go ahead.
Okay, here we go. Oh my goodness. Look at that. So, really good technique. Put your berries in the jar, in a mason jar, sit them in the fridge, and eat at your leisure.
Yes. Now, you know, Coach Mitchell mentioned, you know, this is better than freezing. Freezing is an option, all right? Again, to keep it from going bad, because it's all about extending your shelf life and preventing food waste. So you can freeze.
Well, yeah, definitely.
You know, your first, like I said, we're saying your first option, right, is to use this technique. And then the second option would be maybe to freeze.
Right. If you don't, you know, if you're not going to consume them all and you know what your intake is or your consumption rate is, you know, by all means, you could divvy up some, put them in a smaller jar, stick them in the fridge, the others in the freezer for later. Hi, Mother. Thank you for joining us.
Now, about the you know, the mason jars. There are a couple places that you can get your mason jars from. Well, I'm saying several that I think about. You can always get them from Amazon. You can get from Walmart. Or you can also try secondhand places. You know what? They tend to have a wide selection of mason jars. And if you know, if they just have the jars without the lids, you can always buy the lids off of Amazon. So you can always stock up, especially when they go on sale. Now, I think, was it during COVID where everyone was out of mason jars?
And that's a good point.
Yes.
Because, you know, we're talking about ways that we can sort of close the gap on food scarcity. And during COVID, when there was a shortage of mostly everything, because everything shut down, and what we didn't anticipate that the pandemic would have that type of an effect on supply and demand, right? So we couldn't get a mason jar anywhere. And I do mean anywhere. And we are, you know, subscribers to the, you know, main distributors of products. Couldn't get a mason jar anywhere.
So you want to think about that, you know, especially, like I said, now just stock up. This is not to try to,
no apocalyptic
scare. You know, but it's just good practice. Get your mason jars or your jars, but preferably mason jars with the proper lids, you know, because they're just great for storage.
Absolutely. There's a comment, and I can't see that far. Are you able to see it?
I have to walk over because
well, we want to acknowledge. It's not coming up.
Okay. Our little guy's planting 3 collar stubs that we put in water to root now. If the groundhogs don't eat them, they'll have some nice greens in a few weeks. Yes.
Absolutely.
Yep, from the mother.
Oh, okay. All right. Yes. Thank you. Thank you, Mama, for bringing that up.
All right. So, you know what? Remember last week, you know, I was eating, you know, something that I was experimenting with, and it was basically the pulp from our juicing. And again, just to, you know, reiterate, you know, when we juice, for those who do juice, you know, you end up with a lot of pulp, which has a lot of benefits. You know, some people, if they're new to juicing, their first tendency is to throw it out. What we try to do again to reduce the food waste, to maximize every bit of the produce, or really whatever we eat, is I started experimenting last week. It came out, you know, Coach Mitchell gave me a couple of tips. I went at it again. And what you see here is still not perfected, but the takeaway is you can, in fact, you know, create something with the pulp. And this is what I call, you know, a pulp pastry, all right, a natural pulp pastry. This happens to be a vegan version. Mhm. Uh, and it contains everything from, it has honey, has baking soda. I made it with almond flour and a few of, oh, and flaxseed. So there's no,
How about the chia seed?
yes, well, actually, yes, I used flax seeds for the binder instead of the egg,
Right.
And it was just really to create for anybody who may not want any meat products that they could still utilize this. So here is just, what I just call a pulp pastry. Mhm. And, when Coach Mitchell tasted it, she said she liked it. That's what you told me.
No, the flavor is amazing. We just have to work on presentation, but the flavor is really good. And when Coach Darren says pulp, that is consisting of apple, orange, rind, lemon zest, lime.
Yeah. In this case, I just took the pulp, and I think, because you can take any of the pulp. If you're doing a lot of juicing, you're going to get combinations of pulp.
Right, you're going to get a lot of it.
Yes, and we save the pulp every day, and if if you don't find a use for it, then it becomes veggie smoothie or smoothie for plants. So this is the other advantage of start gardening, is that you can again utilize all of your food going through the full cycle. So what we take from the earth, we actually end up returning to the earth.
Absolutely.
So in some form or fashion.
Yep.
So again, those actually came out pretty well. So when those you get into your juicing and you have pulp, look for ways to utilize that pulp.
Yep. And it was really good. Actually, it was really good.
Yeah, after you laughed at me.
I didn't laugh at you, Coach.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, the attempt, the idea, and just thinking it through, what can we do with this besides discard it?
Yes.
Was, it was just a genius idea, and it's going to become a staple dessert.
Yes. Because it fits right in. You want something sweet, but yet healthy.
Exactly.
Looking for recipes, and we're more than happy to share our recipe. Like I said, we do need to perfect the consistency because it's very soft, which might be fine for some people, but as Coach Mitchell said, getting it just a little bit harder.
Right, because what you could actually do is you can call this a couple of things in its current state. You could actually call it a vegan bread pudding.
Yes.
Without the enriched bread, flour, or you could just call it a pudding. I think the consistency, as it stands, is like you said, would be fine for someone if you were doing like a vegan pudding or bread pudding, would be great. But I think you want more of a cake. I think that's what you were looking for as you were experimenting. So we will work on that recipe. Yes. But since he's not the baker,
no,
but it was his idea, so
we're
gonna work through it.
Yeah, it's interesting you mentioned bread pudding. And I'm not a bread pudding fan, but that's kind of the texture. Which again, if it works for some people, you can go with it. Or like I said, when I started out, the vision I had was more like a muffin. Right. I think the next thing I'm going to try, because we have so much pulp, it's kind of got to utilize it.
Turn it over, right?
Yes. I also want to try a bread, maybe creating a bread loaf from the pulp. So there's a whole bunch of ideas that you can then utilize. So just think about it. We juice the produce, and then we use the pulp to do other things. And then what's left over, we use it for our garden.
That's right. And whatever we create, we will be sure to share it with you so you can try it too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Moving on.
Yeah. Probably wondering, can I borrow that napkin?
Absolutely.
You see these purple cups, you've probably seen them before. Earlier in the previous session, you saw me plant some tomatoes in these cups. And again, this is where I'm announcing what we call the Purple Cup Challenge. to again reiterate, we're all used to the red cups that's been part of backyard, events and celebrations, but we want to now transition to the purple cup. Purple cup is using it to grow something. And I did put it out there in the previous session to, for those who, if you don't have a garden, that you can easily start, get yourself some purple cups. And though it's plastic and not the ideal, the objective here is to give you an inexpensive option just to get started. And again, especially, it's a good idea if you have children. So, get yourself a purple cup, get yourself some soil, and the next time you have a bell pepper, jalapeno pepper, or a tomato, either of those, all right, save the seeds and plant them in the cup.
Or pop you a bean in there.
Yes. Again, just start gardening, and especially if you have, again, children, to get them engaged in growing their own food.
Absolutely. You want to
Okay.
talk about that container?
Well, speaking of, again, something else here. All right. This is, I don't know if you can tell, but it's a starter tray. And I don't know if we shared this on a previous session, but we started sending these out to, basically to children to engage them. So you can get these off of Amazon. You can get them off of Walmart. I think Walmart has them on there. They don't usually carry them in the store. Not this size.
Right.
They'll carry the larger trays. But again, even the larger trays are relatively inexpensive. But here's some small trays you want to think about. Maybe getting some of these. If you want specifics or you're not sure, just engage us on Facebook, and we'll be more than happy to direct you to where you need to go.
Yep, easy to grow in, very low maintenance after you plant, because the bottom is your watering tray. Just put your water in and allow your seeds the soil to absorb the water to nourish your seeds.
Yes, the part that's not in here is, actually I didn't put it out here. There's a lid that goes on top, a clear lid, so you get the greenhouse effect.
Yep.
So again, whole point is encouraging people to plant some seeds to start the growing process.
And what you see on the table here are homegrown mint. This is mint from my garden that has been growing for several years. It's orange mint. Orange mint, that's the name of it, and it has a very, very distinctive and unique orange mint flavor. It's delicious. The 2 celery stalks are really new growth from the celery that Coach Darren harvested right out of the refrigerator.
Yes, that's what we call it. Again, we call it scraps. And it may not be the best name for it, but it's basically what we call anything that we regrow. And that's basically, again, from celery stalks that we use to juice, took the bottom and popping in some water, and you can see how they're starting to regrow.
Right, because ordinarily, if we didn't make soup, we would have discarded it a couple of years ago. But now we've, been able to, I guess, repurpose it.
Yeah.
And we can use this for our juices, our smoothies, of course, in our salads, as well as in our soups.
Yes, because we started out really making vegetable stock.
Yeah.
With all the leftover pieces from vegetables. Now vegetable stock, what do you normally buy it from the supermarket. And if you buy it from the supermarket, then you got to look at the sodium content and any other ingredients.
Right.
Here, again, it reduces your food waste. If you have a lot of vegetable scraps, again, consider making your own vegetable stock.
Yep. And just stick it in the freezer, separate it in Ziplocs or containers, pop it in the freezer based on, what you may use in the future. And you can just pop it out, throw it in a saute pan, and there you have it.
Yep. And if you keep the base, the root part, put in some water and start the cycle again.
Yep, absolutely.
So we're going to keep trying to do that until it says, I'm done.
It yields.
So you have to be willing to experiment on this journey, both with your own health and with gardening. So inside, outside, be open to experimenting. Don't worry about, it being perfect or it being right. As a coach, I have the approach and with people, I tell the first thing you got to do is start.
Mm-hmm.
Then you standardize, which is you do it on a regular basis. Then after that, you optimize. Then that's the way of perfecting it.
Mm-hmm.
Then you strategize. And that's the way where you bring your efficiency and effectiveness together to make it work within your lifestyle. Most important thing is start.
Get started.
Mm-hmm.
Get started. And before we sign off, I just want to give a shout out to Reverend Dr. Angel Thompson for shouting us out during her Bible study class tonight. We appreciate you, and her shout out was based on us bringing valuable information to others through this venue, our podcast, and talking about helping others getting started on their health and wellness journey.
Yes. And yes, thank you for that. The other thing too is, as her request, I'm actually going to redo a session on Monday called Ultra Processed Foods. It's called Keeping It Real. And that's a little bit more, as I mentioned before, different from what we're doing here.
Mm-hmm.
Here, like kind of, nice hacks, tips to engage you. The I Am Well sessions where we used to actually have guests, dietitians and nutritionists, it's also where it's more of a kind of a presentation class session.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little more in depth. So on Monday, and we'll have this on the Facebook page, I Am Well will be doing Keeping It Real, all right? Keep It Real. And we're talking about ultra processed foods, which is a primary contributor to our disease culture.
Right. A lot of chronic illnesses around ultra processed foods.
Yeah, and ultra processed foods are basically, if you go to the supermarket, it's everything that you see in the middle aisles. You go on the outside, the perimeter, we always say that's the best place to shop. So when you go your healthy foods, when you go down that middle, those middle aisles, that's where a lot of your processed, your box and packaged foods exist. So we're going to talk about that on Monday.
Absolutely. Can't wait. So listen, we hope you attend. We want you to attend. Come with your questions. Coach Darren is going to be there to answer them for you after he gives his presentation, or you may engage, participants while he's doing the presentation. But we really encourage you to attend, because what you don't know can kill you.
Yes.
Okay?
It is killing us.
It is killing us. So listen, anything else, Coach?
No, I think that's it for tonight's session.
All right. Listen, we want to thank you for joining us tonight for Inside Outside on Wellness Wednesday, where we hope that these tips and techniques and ideas that we bring to you are actually adding value to your health and wellness journey. I'm Coach Mitchell.
And I'm Coach Darren.
Remember, if you do not start now, there will be no next. Have a wonderful evening, and we'll see you on Monday night at 8 p.m. right here at the Power of Now. I Am Well will be presenting ultra processed foods.
Keep it real.
Keep it real. Have a great evening. And thanks for joining us, Mama and Auntie.